Everybody calls dopamine the pleasure chemical. It is not. It is something far stranger, and we found it out completely by accident. It started in 1954 in a small lab in Montreal. Two scientists were poking around inside a rat's brain to see what the different parts did. So they slid a very thin wire deep into one tiny spot. Then they wired that up to a small button and put the rat in a box. And every single time the rat pressed the button, it sent a tiny jolt of electricity straight into that one spot in its brain. Then the scientists sat back to see what the rat would do. The rat pressed it once, then again, then 2,000 times an hour. It stopped eating. It stopped drinking. It ignored food, water, and even another rat put in the box with it. Pressed that button until it collapsed from exhaustion. Scientists were sure they had found it, the pleasure center of the brain. It went straight into every textbook in the world. And they were completely wrong. It took 50 years to work out why. And what they missed is sitting in your hand right now. It is a completely reasonable conclusion. You would have reached it too. There is just one small problem with it. Nobody ever actually asked the rat whether it was having a nice time. And when scientists finally worked out how to ask, the answer was horrible. Because it turns out you can watch a rat's face and tell whether it likes something. Give a rat something sweet, and it makes a very particular happy face. If it's something bitter, and it makes a very particular disgusted face. So they watched the face of the rat with the button. And it was not making the happy face. It was not making any face at all. The rat was not enjoying it. It was not happy. It was not having fun. It just could not stop. Which brings us to the thing almost nobody knows about their own head. Your brain does not have one reward system. It has two. The first one is called liking. Liking is the actual good feeling, the warmth, the enjoyment. It is what happens when you take the first bite of something delicious. The second system is called wanting. Wanting is not a good feeling at all. Wanting is a pull. It is the itch, the need, the go and get it. And here is the bit that breaks people's brains. Those two systems are separate. They live in different places. They run on different chemicals, and they can be switched on completely independently. Dopamine is not the liking chemical. Dopamine is the wanting chemical. Which means you can want something enormously and get nothing out of it at all. Now that sounds like a word game, so here is how they proved it. They took some rats and they took the dopamine out of their brains. No dopamine at all, no wanting, nothing pulling them anywhere. So those rats stopped chasing anything. They would not cross the cage for food. They would have starved to death sitting right next to a full bowl. Which fits perfectly. No dopamine, no wanting, no chasing. But then somebody did something clever. He walked over and put the sugar directly onto the rat's tongue. And the rat made the happy face. It still liked sugar. It liked it just as much as it always had. It just did not want it anymore. Liking fully intact, wanting completely gone. And that is the whole thing. That is the entire idea of this video. Wanting something and liking something are two different machines. So now go and pick up your phone. Think about the last time you opened an app and scrolled for 40 minutes. And then just put it down and did not think about it again. Now ask yourself an honest question. Did you enjoy those 40 minutes? Not really. You were not laughing. You were not relaxing. You were not even interested. You just could not stop. You were the rat. The app was the button. And once you understand that, you cannot unsee it. Because the people who build these things know exactly which button they are pressing. They do not need you to like it. They only need you to want it. Slot machine does not make anybody happy. It makes them pull the handle again. And a slot machine has one very clever trick. It does not pay out every time, it pays out sometimes. And you never know which time. One detail is the most powerful thing anybody has ever found out about brains. Because a reward you always get is boring. But a reward you might get is a hook. Now go and look at your phone again. Pull to refresh. Sometimes there is something new, sometimes there is nothing. You are pulling a handle. And once you see the lever, you start seeing levers everywhere. Notification is a lever. You do not check it because you want to know. You check it because you have to. Sugar is a lever. Nobody eats the whole packet because bite number 12 tasted good. Did not, you were not tasting it by then. Shopping is a lever. Buzz is in the clicking buy and in the waiting for the parcel. By the time it actually turns up, you can barely be bothered to open it. Gambling is a lever with the mask taken off. It is the same machine. It is just honest about what it is doing. None of these things need to make you happy. They only need to make you reach. And the horrible little secret is that they do not even need to be good. Boring app you hate can still own 4 hours of your evening. Because wanting does not check with liking first. Now here is where it gets genuinely sneaky. Because the wanting does not wait for the reward anymore. Over 100 years ago, a scientist noticed something in his dog. Every time he fed them, a bell rang first. Bell then food, over and over. Till one day he rang the bell and brought no food. And the dog drooled anyway. The bell had become the thing, not the food, the bell. Wanting had jumped backwards, off the reward and onto the signal. Now think about your phone. Little red dot, the buzz in your pocket, the tiny ping. Those are the bell. You do not feel the pull when you get the good message. You feel it the second you hear the ping. Before you even know what the message says. Your phone has trained you exactly like the dog. Except the dog only had one bell. You are carrying 100 of them in your pocket. There is one more piece of this, and it is the strangest one. You know that feeling when you finally get the thing you wanted. And it is just fine. New phone, the job, the thing you saved up months for. You get it, and about 10 minutes later, you feel almost nothing. That is not you being ungrateful, that is just how the machine works. Because dopamine does not fire when you get the thing. It fires when you think the thing is coming. Buzz is in the reaching, not in the having. Which means the chase is the best part, and your brain knows it. And the moment you actually catch the thing, the buzz has already left. So you go looking for the next thing to chase. And that right there is the whole loop. Which is also why you can scroll for an hour and remember absolutely nothing. You were never really there, you were always half a second ahead, reaching for the next one. The thing on the screen was never the point. The next thing was always the point. And there is always a next thing, that is the design. So by now you might be thinking, fine, I will just use willpower. I'm sorry to tell you this, but willpower was never going to win. Because the pull and the willpower are not a fair fight. Wanting is old, it is millions of years old. Kept your ancestors alive by making them chase food and safety and more. Your willpower is new, it is tired, and it runs out by the afternoon. So every time you rely on willpower, you are betting the weak thing against the strong thing. And you lose not because you are weak, because the game is rigged. People who built the trap are counting on you blaming yourself. Because if you blame yourself, you keep pressing the button. The answer was never to want it less. You cannot turn the wanting off, it does not have a switch. So here is the useful part, and then I will leave you alone. I am not going to tell you to throw your phone in a river. I am not a doctor, I am not going to sell you a 30-day plan. The useful part is much smaller and much stranger than that. It is just this. Wanting something is not proof that it is good for you. Your whole life you have quietly assumed that if you want a thing, some part of you must like it. That is exactly what the rat assumed. It is exactly what those scientists assumed back in 1954. And it is wrong. Pull you feel is a chemical saying go and get it. It is not a review, it is not a verdict, it is not your brain telling you the thing isn't good. You do not have to obey it. But you do have to notice it. Because the second you can tell the difference between wanting a thing and liking a thing, you've got something that poor rat never had. The rat never knew it was in a box. You do. So before you pick it up again tonight, just ask one question. Do I actually like this? Or do I just want it? Because those were never the same thing. The experiment never really ended. The lever just changed shape.